Well, a big night tonight for New London's Kris Dunn, and joining us now is the one and only Kris Dunn from New York, where not long ago, Kris, you were drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I know back in high school you told me that was your lifelong dream to play in the NBA. Here you are. What was it like walking across that stage tonight?
It was beautiful, man. You know, some emotions went through my head, and you know, it was an emotional night for me and my family. You know, we've been through a lot of ups and downs, and the fact that, you know, I finally made my dream come true and made my family proud is a special moment.
Talk about that emotion that was running through. A lot of people don't know the story, Kris, but you and your mom and your brother left for Virginia when you were young for a while. You and your brother had to take care of each other on your own before your dad was able to get you back up here. Did you ever think you could make it this far and become what you've become?
You know, when me and my brother, we were down in Virginia by ourselves, at one point I didn't have a future for myself until my father came into my life. And, you know, he put that structure and discipline around me and my brother. And, you know, he created a path for us. He created a whole new life for us. And, you know, the fact that he, you know, tried to build a future for me and, you know, telling me to keep working hard, you know, I have to appreciate everything he done for me.
I loved what you did tonight inside of your suit. I don't know if you could show it to us or not, but that really shows that New London is an important place in your heart. There you go with the Whalers and the 3 inside. Where did that idea come from?
It actually came from me. You know, when I was on ESPN, I did something for Providence College. You know, I had Providence College in the suit, and I wanted to do something for New London. And what better to do it, you know, than the biggest stage, you know, draft night. And, you know, that's how much New London means to me, because they supported me, you know, throughout my 4 years, because that's where it all started. And, you know, they came, friends and families came up and supported me today, and it was a special day.
Does it seem like just yesterday, Kris, you were flying around gyms here in Connecticut, a high school all-state player, winning a state championship, playing for Coach Parker? Do you kind of miss those days?
Definitely. You know, me and my friends, we talk about it all the time. You know, we wish we could be in high school and still have those memories. But right now, you know, we're all doing our own thing. And, you know, I'm proud of my guys, you know, the guys I grew up in New London. You know, we still go back to New London High School and play pickup games. So, you know, we always try to keep those memories, you know, and make them come back alive.
As you were sitting there tonight, Kris, a lot of talk was you might go 3, you know, to the Celtics. You moved down to 5 in Minnesota. Do you feel like that's a great fit for you?
Definitely. You know, there's a lot of great players on that team. They're very young and talented. You know, Kris Dunn, he just won NBA Rookie of the Year. You know, that's a huge accomplishment for him. And, you know, Tibbs, he's a great coach. You know, I think he's coming in and put that defensive structure on the team. You know, I always tell people my greatest strength is defense, because that's what you control every game. So, you know, I feel like that's a great fit for me.
You mentioned Tibbs, and a lot of folks around here know Tom Thibodeau, a New Britain native. So the big question, can a New London guy get along with a New Britain guy?
If it was in high school, probably not. But, you know, now we're older, I think, you know, we could gel very well.
Kris, what's the one thing you're going to take away from tonight?
You know, the laughs, the smile that my family had, the cries, the tear of joys. You know, like I said, this is all for my family. You know, I understand I put the work in, but, you know, without them, none of this would happen.
With this also comes a nice financial windfall. Will you do something special for your dad and your brother?
For sure. You know, the first thing I'm going to buy is my brother's a house. You know, he sacrificed so much for me. You know, when we were younger, he didn't have that, you know, choice of being a kid. You know, he had to do what, you know, some kids probably couldn't able to do, you know, and try to be a father. He grew up very fast, and, you know, I appreciate everything he done for me.
All right, Kris, anything you want to say to the folks back here in Connecticut, back in New London especially?
I miss you guys. I'm definitely going to be back very soon.